What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pin the Gas podcast on this proper Mega Willie Wednesday, slamming Sammy as we always call it, right? And ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor today to sit down with the absolute flat track legend, Sammy Halbert. But before we get into this episode, it is sponsored by Next Level Financial. Take control of your financial future. Get your free complimentary financial analysis today by Seth Starnes. And Sammy, I always tell everybody this: don't spend your money on an off-the-rack suit when it's not going to fit you correctly, right? It is 2025. Listen, donate your old suit, make it a purse, a backpack, whatever it is. Give it to your buddy that don't have one. Treat yourself. You deserve it. You want to stay safe. You want to go proper mega fast. Get a suit that is customized specifically for you. And listen, there's nothing like it. So do you wear a custom suit in flat track, Sam?
Yeah, I do. I'm actually still like old school. I wear a two-piece custom flat track suit. We got airbags in them now, which is pretty sweet, but I love having for flat track the two-piece. You can just pull that jacket off. But yeah, when I do track days or road racing, for sure, I got the full one piece, obviously, for road racing. But
it makes a huge difference, right? Because I know when you first started flat tracking, you didn't have a custom suit, right? And you still doing mock 5,000 in the corners with no front brake, and when your suit's too big, it's like a parachute almost. It's flapping around and all that good stuff. But Sammy, listen, it's an honor. We have a lot to talk about. So tell us your initial journey into the wonderful world of twos.
Like the full journey you want, like from the start, or where we?
Yeah, from the very beginning, the earliest days, the little dirt bike under the Christmas tree.
All right. Yeah, we're taking it way back to 1998. So like my family used to race a little bit. Actually, my mom and my dad raced flat track. My grandpa as well. And then my parents got into it, and like my mom raced flat track quads and my dad was doing the flat track bikes. And so kind of grew up around it. And then but I didn't want to do it when I was like 5, 6. I rode a little bit, but then when I was 10, like I wanted to get after it. And we, like, with the support of our parents, we started racing, but it wasn't like the kind of upbringing, the family where they like kind of pushed it on you. Like the mini bike parents that were like, how like on the kids. It was more like the dynamic was more like, hey dad, help me fix my bike, please. Like I want it. Like we had to kind of work for it and like learn how to do the stuff on our own. Anyways, but that's just kind of how it started for me. We had to work for it from the jump. And my older brother, Jethro, and I started racing around the same time in 98, 99, and just started doing the local flat track stuff up there in the Pacific Northwest, Washington State's where I'm from. And so up there, they have a ton of indoor short tracks. So we started racing indoor short tracks like every weekend in the barn, racing with guys like JD Beach. And JD is a bit younger than me, but grew up with him because you guys are mostly a road racing podcast, right?
Yeah, I do. Basically road race. I've had, do you know Cole King?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I've had him on.
No, I just was saying because like I was bringing up JD just because he's the road racer kid that they was up that way before he moved to OWB. But yeah, started off doing it locally, and then just traveled. And by the time I was 16, I was one of the top. I was one of the top amateurs coming out of the amateur deal, and just stuck with and really put a lot into it. Kind of like one of my mottos is you get out of it what you put into it. And I was always pretty focused and fortunate with racing to keep me on a good path. And yeah, man, just hammered it out. It's been a good career for me. I'm at a good spot with it now, but overall, yeah, it's been a good career. But yeah, that's how I got into it.
Listen, you've had an amazing career, right? We'll get into that in a minute. But speaking of, growing up young, getting in the whole flat track scene, weekend, racing this and that. And obviously, you still went to public school at the same time.
Yeah, I did schooling. But like for me, I was already traveling quite a bit by the time I was around 14. And so ended up going to an alternative high school to where I could just go like 3 days a week and 3.5 hours or like whatever. I didn't go to that school that much. And honestly, I kind of like, I did the alternative high school. I didn't even get I didn't even graduate. But just last year I got my GED because I got my realtor license. So I decided like, all right, get the realtor license. You got to get your GED. Kind of was like, I should have just done it in the first place. Like finished high school, but hindsight's 2020. But yeah, so I got my GED last year and got my realtor license. And so I'm like kind of balancing trying to like start my life after racing, but like like racing like kicked ass last year for me. It kind of had a little bit of a resurgence year, so I'm still racing quite a bit. But yeah, that was kind of like my school path a little bit.
Yeah, I love it, because everybody, some kids still go to, or young adults when they get into it and it's become serious. Some of them still go to school. A lot of them do, over the road homeschooling, which I think it's great for the young kids getting into it to still go to physical school, because mentally, as you know, Sammy, racing is so mental, right? But that little brief getaway, going to school, interacting with kids that don't give a shit about racing or anything about it, right? It helps free your mind up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. So how did you get your nickname, Slammin' Sammy?
Dude, like honestly, even from the amateur time, like racing those indoor short tracks, I was riding like old RM80 and I wasn't getting the starts, and I was slamming my way through the field, like right from a young age, pissing off all the parents of the other kids. And so over the years, like refined my technique and got a little better. But it's like starting off doing those indoor short tracks, it's so tight on those indoors, and so you learn how to like run it in on someone, bounce against them, and keep going. So it's a art form, right? It's challenging. You go and you send your bike on the inside, you tap them, and it automatically wants to stand your bike up. But as you like kind of learn, you learn to hold it over and how to manage it, when to stick your nose in there, when not to, and it's all off instincts really. So, but yeah, that's how out there slamming my way through. That's how I got it. I would say, yeah.
I'm sure you pissed off a lot of parents on your journey too, right? I love it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, trying to fight my parents and trying to fight my dad and shit.
I'm sure I do. I'm absolutely sure. So, being the legend you are in flat tracking, obviously it transfers over into road racing and track days, right? So what sparked your interest to doing track days?
Man, I don't know if it really transfers over. I mean, maybe, but like I did a track day when I was like, I don't know, pretty youngish, but I like first time was on R6 at Pacific Raceways there in Seattle. And it was like, for me, it was like a little overwhelming. It was just so much to like try and figure out, just jumping on R6 and you go so fast. And I didn't feel like I took to it that naturally. I mean, everyone said I did well and whatnot, and now I can roll pretty decently, but it's just like, it's tricky learning a new sport. Especially I feel like when you jump on a fast bike like that. Since then, I've got to like log some time on smaller bikes, really like understand the technique and the style. And then now I'm really more interested in riding bigger bikes again, which I've got to do a little bit here and there. So, yeah, just, I mean, when I was younger, seeing kids, like I grew up like racing with like Bobby Fong as well and stuff like that. You see them go to road racing, and kind of always considered it, never maybe got or made the opportunities for myself to go that direction, and then stuck with flat track. But whenever I go do track days, like I love it. It's one of the funnest things I do, is doing track days. I did, I think I rode at, the one in, I rode Barber a few times the last couple of years, which now that I moved to North Carolina, I'm more in like the Southeast. So I rode Barber, did like the GNF there the last 2 years. And man, like that's such a fun track. But yeah, for me doing track days and club racing, and maybe like I'm sticking my nose out there trying to do maybe a like Moto America round or two, maybe the Super Hooligan class. I've been kind of poking around trying to sort that out as my skills are developing. But yeah, I just love it. It's so fun for me. And because I'm good at it. I'm not great at it, so my level of progression is still quite high because I've only done it so much. So now, as I'm doing it, I'm like progressing quite a lot, getting better and better, which is a fun, like, it's a fun process.
Absolutely. It's another way to mentally challenge yourself at the same two wheels, right? Basically, instead of no front brake, hunched over like this, 120 miles an hour, you're doing 160 miles an hour with the front brake, and the bike's a lot heavier, obviously. But as far as the flat track to road racing, the front sliding all the time, the rear sliding all the time, and finding that fine line between traction you do. As you progress and get faster on a road race bike, it's going to start doing the same. The front's going to start sliding, the rear's going to start sliding, and you're automatically going to know how to control it. So it's a lot of benefit, flat track racing and then getting into road racing. Now, do you have a track day bike currently right now?
Right now I just got like a Ninja 400 with a buddy, but so I don't have like a proper proper track day bike of my own, so I'm more like bumming rides here and there.
I love it. Have you been to VIR yet?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I'm
You
pretty
need
new
to.
to North Carolina, so yeah, I just
Okay.
moved up here from Florida like in the last year. So I still gotta hit. I haven't been to Carolina Motorsports Park, that one up here either yet. I went to the one in Georgia recently, the one by Savannah. I hit that one. The track day
Road
was
Atlanta.
Roebling.
Oh, Roebling. Yes, yes,
Yeah, I
yes.
just hit that with the Triumph guys recently. That was fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm like an hour and 20 minutes from VIR. That's my local home track. So when you make it up there, hit me up. I'll come down there and meet you, and I'll grill out and
You got a
feed
bike
you.
too?
Yeah. I got a 08 848 and a 03 RC51.
Ooh,
Yeah. So
nice.
yeah, man. Yeah, the RC51 is one of my dream bikes. And speaking of that, do you personally have any dream bikes?
Man, I got a lot of flat track bikes. Yeah, so I got like all the Harley Davidson XR 750s I used to race when I ran my own team. So I got those. I got one of the Indian FTR 750s. So I got I got with the XR and the Indian FTR. I say those are my top bikes for sure.
I love it, man. I love it. And so, how did you? And I've been wanting to ask this since we got together. You, Valentina Rossi, the whole VR46 ranch. How did all that come? I'm a huge fan. I named my son Hayden Rossi after Nikki Hayden and Valentino. And actually, another good friend of mine was there, Tom Neve, and his brother Tim.
Oh yeah, you're friends with the Neve boys as well.
Yeah, I had Tom on my podcast.
Oh, sick.
I get people from BSB, Alaman TT, ASBK,
Sick.
all of them around the world. So how did the whole VR46 and what's the experience like? Because I watch it religiously on YouTube, but just I guess being in the present of the GOAT, right?
Yeah, no, it's such a cool event. I've been able to go to it for quite a while now. I forget when I first started going, like around 2016. And yeah, he's been getting the invite every year for the 100-kilometer race of champions, which has been sick. It's just being there, like the drive down into the track is cool. So you're going along this like road, kind of like and then the valley down below it. When you get close, you can see the track down in the valley, and like when you're leaving the track, you see it like way down in there, all lit up, like it looks so sick. And then you're driving down this really tight, windy road, and you just like there's fans always trying to get in. They got a ton of security keeping them out and stuff, and then there's just the experience of like driving down into the place, and you can see the ranch from like in the valley down below is so cool. And then I mean it's changed over the years. Like when I first went there in 2016, that it wasn't as built out. Like now the ranch building has got more built out, more developed. Like when I first went there, it was more like the open fire. It smelled like fire smoke all throughout the place, and I would get dressed in like the main building. Now that's like just for the VR46 guys, and they got like a separate building for us visiting riders, and they built on like an addition where they have like a bigger room for like eating and hanging out. So it's just like going there over the years and seeing it get built out and more professional. Like when I first started going to that event, I'd bring like my brother or like a friend, and I'd get them on the track. I was teammates with like a buddy of mine that's not even like a racer, and like it was so chill and just a fun event, and it still is. But now it's a little more. It's like a mini MotoGP race now. There's like a lot of media there. Like all the riders are like geared up and sending it, and so it's changed over the years from where it was to where it is now. Now it's like a pretty serious event. All the riders are like they're all, even like the guys that don't live there, they're really good on the bike and sending it, and like the Italians and Spanish are especially good there. So it's and just with that track, it's so slippery, and it's like a full road race course with like the proper curbing, but like really slippery dirt, a lot of elevation change. Like this fast downhill right-hander is like tricky to get sliding around this fast downhill right-hander on like slippery dirt. It's quite challenging. Like I usually get arm pump there the first day, and I always try and train for it. But for whatever reason, the first day, just getting there, you're like gripping the bike, trying to keep it from getting too sideways, hitting the lock stops. It's a pretty physical one for us, really. So it's like, I just did this training push to get ready for it. Now I'm like coasting a little bit before the Daytona push, but it's and just because, as they call it, the 100-kilometer race of champions, there's nothing like it where it's all because of Valentino. He brings everybody together. So it's like every year it's different, a little bit of a different group. It's all the VR46 guys, which has been cool for going so long, seeing guys like, Franco Morbidelli, different guys that were just like younger, and now they're like, the premier factory riders over the years, seeing their like progression through the sport. But also just Valentino brings so many guys between like World Superbike riders. This year we had a lot of guys from the Isle of Man. So we had like John McGuinness was there. He wasn't racing, but he was there. And then they had Davey Todd was there, and Michael Dunlop. They were both racing. So those boys were really cool. And like, and the Dunlops had a bunch of their family there and stuff. So it was like, McGuinness had like some of his family there and stuff. So now I've met so many people that do the Isle of Man race and live over there, or live like, in Ireland and UK, and where they live for doing that. And so yeah, I really like, now I realize I got to go check out the Isle of Man. I got to go over there. I got to make it while John's still racing. So I got to try and go. Like, I've been traveling so much. I feel like a stretch for me to go this year in May, but maybe the next year try and make it while hopefully John's still racing then. Such a legend, right? But yeah, so I got to go check that out now as well.
Yeah, listen, now you're really speaking about the TT is my absolute favorite race of the year. Like, if I could only watch one race a year, it'd be the TT over BSB. Every race, it don't matter what it is. It's there's something about that's where racing originated, was on the streets. We didn't have Circuits of America or Rolling Road or Road Atlanta or any of that, right? That's where it originated, and the people that do it are just they're on a whole nother level, right? They're human just like me and you, but to me, this best way I can explain it, Sammy, is where we're used to going fast in a wide open space. They're used to going fast in a confined space, right? So they're comfortable doing that. And you at the VR46, man, what legends you was hanging out with. David Todd. I met Todd, BSB. I wish McGuinness was there. He obviously, I'm a fan of his too. Yeah, it just Peter Hickman. Another one, right? Another legend. Yeah, on my bucket list, bro. So much so, Sammy, that I told my wife and my son and my mom and my dad, I said, look, if I drop dead in 5 minutes, cremate me, put me on a plane. I don't care. We're at the Isle of Man. You just leave me and go enjoy the rest of your life, right? That's, yeah, it's on my bucket list for sure. And with that, have you ever been to like a BSB or Moto America or GP race or anything?
Oh yeah. This year I went to BSB for the first time because I raced in. I've been racing with Tim Neve does the FIM flat track stuff, and so I've been running around with the Neve boys a little bit. And we raced in like Kings Lynn, UK, and then a couple of days later they were racing, or like the same weekend basically, they were racing Cadwell Park. So I went and like Timmy was racing that, so I went to Cadwell, got to watch the leap, and BSB was super nice. They got me involved. They had me down, like give like a pole position watch out on the line this year down there at Cadwell. So I got to be there and check out that, and hang out on the Neve family farm for a night before I went to the next spot. But yeah, it was really cool going to a BSB race. And we also had at Rossi's this year another BSB racer. He's going to World Superbike next year. He was
Ron Vickers.
Yeah. Vickers was there at Rossi's this year, so I got to spend a bit of time with him as well. Which it was nice this year. There's a lot of English speaking, like primary English speaking people at Rossi's, because I've gone there before where I was the only person there that was like that. My native tongue was English, So sometimes it's presents its own challenges, but yeah, there's a bunch of the English speaking guys there this year. But yeah, Ryan was ripping it. By the end of the weekend, he picked it up quite a bit.
Yeah, it's awesome. And me and you already mentioned Tom and Tim Neve. They're absolutely amazing human beings. Met them at BSB. That's where I went, Cadwell Park. It's my favorite racetrack in the whole world. I mean,
I got to do a track day there next year. I'm trying to set up. I was already talking with the boys, trying to get a track day set up there and just experience it.
Yeah, it's so I know the people that run the UK California Superbike School, man. I can get you in touch with the owner, and yeah, man, y'all can we'll sort it out for you for sure. Cadwell is one of those tracks, Sammy. You watch them on TV and you go and you're like, holy shit, like they're sending it rear tire 6 feet off the ground. You're like, what is going? And you stand. My favorite spot was standing at the bottom when they're coming out that left and right, and they hit that jump right there, and you just, yeah, it was and it's this wide. right?
It's pretty narrow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good spots. You can walk the whole track and see all the action, and yeah, it's definitely experience BSB, man. So with the whole VR46, man, is the food any good there?
Nah, terrible, man. Don't bother coming.
Everybody stay away.
Yeah, no, the food's really good, and they do like at the end of the night, like both nights we race, they have hot wine, which is like I forget what it's called, guapa. I forget what it's called, but it's like hot wine with fruit chunks in it. That's a really cool thing they do, and yeah, when they serve food at the ranch sometimes, and then yeah, I mean you're in Italy, so I just pretty much eat pasta the whole time.
Right? Gain some pounds.
Yeah, dude, I'm all
Yeah.
about that pasta and red wine, and then I love having a couple days afterwards to really indulge. It's nice.
It is. And then, speaking of the legend JD Beach, he actually left road racing there for a little while and was solely flat tracking. And so you and him were there at the ranch together. And I couldn't imagine, showing up being the only English speaking person. I couldn't imagine how difficult that was, right?
I mean, obviously, those guys all speak English, but like when that's not their primary tongue, like a lot of the times they're not speaking it, for sure. But yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then FIM flat track world champion. How does it feel?
Man, it's good. Like I went and did that. So they have this FIM flat track world championship, and it's been getting bigger, and it comes with a FIM world championship title. So I'm like, all right, let's go give that a run. So I did that in 2023, and they run things a little different over there. And the slammer was slamming, and they didn't like it, so I got disqualified from like 3 out of 5 rounds in 2023, and I won I podiumed and won the other ones, but yeah, so they adjusted the rules a little bit. I adjusted my riding a little bit and came back last year and got the job done, which was sick. And so that was super fun. And those guys they're on really nice speedway style motorcycle tracks over there. Like speedway racing is big in Europe, right? So they have all these really nice speedway motorcycle track facilities which are like perfectly groomed quarter-mile dirt track ovals. Some of them they're pretty much in like some form of open stadiums. And yeah, but the tracks make for a great racing. It's really safe, it seems like, or there's been almost no injuries. Like in my 2 years of racing over there, I had like one tip over on the start this year in Czech Republic. But outside of that, yeah, it's really, really safe racing, which is important for me at this point in my career, is managing the risk. So that's been really cool. And yeah, it was just great to get that wrapped up this year. Had that, FIM does it up. They bring you back to all the champions went to Mallorca, Spain for the FIM Awards Gala, and that was cool just to connect with all the other world champions from. There's so many different motorcycle disciplines, right? Between like ice speedway and they do like there's sidecar racing, like sidecar motocross, like so much stuff. So yeah, no, the FIM stuff was cool to do these last couple of years.
Oh, 100%. And you just said some sidecar dirt bike race. So we see the sidecar racing at the Isle of Man and here in the States, but could you imagine sidecar dirt bike racing?
Yeah, they did sidecar motocross. Yeah,
Bro,
yeah.
that's insane.
But yeah, it's been a fun thing. Like I raced in like 5-6 different countries last year, plus Poland, like the first ever flat track in Poland. So yeah, I've been logging them miles lately, traveling, hitting those events all over Europe, which has been fun.
I love it. Love it. Slammy salmon all over the place, right? They're like, we don't like that type of ride. And you're like, get out of my way, baby.
Yeah. We're ready for it.
Right. Hey, this is what we do. What are you talking about? I got two comments actually. One from my buddy Ryan Rawls. He lives in Florida. He says Sammy is the man. Absolutely. And then we got Need Metal. He says, is KTM dirt track being affected by the company's issues?
Yeah, so like KTM had a factory dirt track team, and they actually kind of suddenly pulled out going into this season, like last season, I forget where 2025. So yeah, they pulled out of flat track at the beginning of 2024. So probably that probably was a factor, right? We didn't know it at the time, but that was probably a factor.
Yeah. I'm getting a lot of questions about the whole KTM thing. Truth is I don't know anything about it. Like what's really going on, nobody really does, but the people working there.
Yeah.
It is a pity, that would be a great loss to the sport if they went away in total, right? I know for a while they bought Husqvarna, Gas, Envy Agusta, and they sold pretty much all that off. But yeah, it would be a loss. I don't really foresee them getting out of road racing anytime soon, but nobody thought Suzuki was going to leave neither, right? And they're gone. So yeah, man. Absolutely. Need Metal says that sucks. It does suck, man. So hopefully, they got it together. I heard that they got some investors that are willing to invest. So yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see. And then X Game gold medalist, bro, 2017, man. Like, dude, what can you not you do, Sammy? You legend, flat track, gold medalist, FIM. I mean, bro.
Yeah, it's been a good career. Those are definitely some highlights. Winning the X Games gold. I mean, just to be in X Games, growing up watching X Games, just and like flat track's kind of a niche sport, so never really expected flat track to be in the X Games in the first place. And then we were in there for 4 years. The first year I won a silver, which was like sick. X Games first year, got a medal, that was great. But then like the gold was definitely another level. Grabbing the gold was big highlight for sure.
Oh, absolutely right. And then would you say one of your biggest achievements would be the Grand National Championship of 09?
Yeah, yep, for sure. Winning the overall championship in 09, definitely one of my biggest achievements. Yeah, no doubt.
Right. And so, road racing, flat tracking is such a mental sport. How do you mentally prepare, as I always call it, for battle? Like where Leonidas getting ready to go battle all the Persians, right? And look, here comes my son. He always makes an interest. Say hi to Sammy.
What up?
What
up? So, how do you prepare for battle?
Man, I feel like it probably shifts over the years. But I'm typically like pretty much like a race face kind of on type of person at the track, pretty serious. Like a lot, like with flat track, so much is important with the bike setup. So you're analyzing the track conditions, your bike setup. We're pretty much changing something with the bike almost every session. And it's tricky because, like I said, the track's changing a lot. The grip level's changing a lot with the dirt, more so than you guys have in road racing. So oftentimes it's really much just strategizing the bike setup and then, staying focused, nowadays, like as I've developed more, like I've learned more techniques over the years where, I develop a kind of a race day routine and different things, which include a lot of like managing your heart rate. And so making sure you're like learning how to control and keep your heart rate lower. So you start from a lower point. There's a lot that goes into it, but I'm just overall like pretty serious, but try and start from like a low heart rate, a mellow space, and then just like focus on literally like the task at hand. Don't let the noise, don't let the noise come in, and focus at the task at hand, which, it's hard sometimes when there's a lot on the line. Like this year for the FIM championship, I was pretty nervous there for the final round to try and lock in that championship. But there's been other times like this year when I've surprised myself, like at Daytona on the Harley XR 750, and it was on the cusp of making history, being like the first guy to win or the last guy to win on the old XR. And where I did so good putting all my years of experience to work. And I was so just focused on like the exact next thing I needed to do. And I wasn't like letting the noise come in and the pressure get to me, which was cool. Like afterwards I was like, wow, that was a lot what I just went through, but I managed to just, I've been racing professional for over 20 years now. And so just, just learning how to, sometimes you can manage that pressure by just focusing on what you got to do. But sometimes it comes in there, like when the championship's on the line and it's like, I don't want to go back to the USA without it. Like, so I was feeling that.
I'm sure. Right. But once the helmet goes on, you line up, like all that goes away.
For sure. Once the green light goes, when the green flag drops, the bullshit stops.
Facts, dude. 100% facts. All this right here, that's when all that stops. It's all about this, and the focus. So to me, when I don't race anymore. I do track days, right? But what helps me, even when I do podcasts, I mean, I ain't gonna lie. Like I've said this often, my anxiety goes through the roof. It's like, just because the excitement, the build up, just like for a race. I control my breathing. So I'll go in a quiet space, shut my eyes, do the deep breaths, right? Don't even think about it. And just say, yeah, let's fucking go, right? It's go time. Let's go. And yeah, it puts me in my own. It's important to be in your own zen, to be calm, right? Even though I got, dogs running around, my son coming in here smacking me and pushing me down and all that, but that's part of the progression too, as well, right? That to me, I enjoy that, Sammy, because it's like an outside added pressure that I could cope with right there on the spot and still stay focused. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, everything kind of just happens, do you have in road racing, a lot of road racers have like a certain ritual to put their leathers on, right? Left boot on before the right boot and all that stuff. Do you have anything like that?
Not really, but I mean, it's usually the left glove on first. I feel like, I think, but nah, no. But yeah.
One advice, my buddy Nolan Lampkin, he races in Moto America. When I asked him that question, he says, I wear my socks inside out. And I was like, you wear your socks inside out? He's like, yeah, because when you put them on, on the right way, it's got the seam in the front with the toes. I was like, I can't stand that. He's like, well, if you wear them inside out, you don't have that issue. And since that podcast, I'm an inside out sock wearer, 100%. People laugh. They're like, what? Really? And I show them, they're like, you goofy. Oh, okay, cool. I'll be goofy and comfortable at the same time, right? So
That's funny.
it is. Need Metal says, what will happen to lap times with all the light crank parallel twins and with Indian gone? I think Easton is going to have a huge advantage.
Yeah, there is a problem. Like the Estenson team is quite far ahead since so the flat track rules have gone from, we had like the Indian FTR, which was a purpose built flat track 750, and then the Harley XR 750 was the old purpose built bike that I brought back and raced a little this last year, and they changed the rules going into this year. It's got to be production based bikes, so none of the purpose built motors. And it's tricky because the one team, Estenson, they've been developing their Yamaha for quite a while to compete with the purpose-built bikes, and so they've taken it pretty far, and the thing is really good to where it's as good or better than the purpose-built bikes. And then now, like all of us that have been riding the purpose-built bikes, we got to jump on the production bikes, and it's finding it hard to get the right like equipment for the bikes. Like, so I've got a Yamaha team I can race for, but we're finding it hard to get the components we need, like for the bike to make it competitive. Like the Estenson team developed some stuff, but you can't buy the stuff that they developed, and stuff like that. So it's gonna be tricky. I think a few of the guys are going to the Harley, they have the fuel injected Harley, the XG 750. So a lot of guys are going to that because I think that's the most like readily available, like possibly competitive option. We'll see how competitive it is with Estenson on all the tracks. So yeah, it's tricky right now to get the right bike to compete for wins. That's what I'm trying to figure out as well for the select events I'll do. As far as lap times goes, I mean, I don't know. I think it's, for flat track, that stuff, it's so dependent on the track conditions and stuff like that. I don't think it all fluctuates a bit. I don't think we'll like notice it too much on overall lap times, maybe unless you're studying that often. But like I said, it's so dependent on the track conditions. I guess I'm not always like studying lap times as much. Like I think in road racing, that's more, you have more of a consistency with the tracks. So I don't know if we'll see a ton in lap times unless you're you're studying all that a ton. But yeah, I think it's just more of less like we'll see. I think in the long run, hopefully it's good for the sport and we get more brands involved and we'll see.
Right. It's always a good thing to get, maybe CF Moto might show up one day. You never know. They're making a huge comeback, right, in the United States. And I noticed you got a bike back there. What bike is that?
Yeah, dude. So it's just a 2011 Honda 450. It's a vintage bike, but yeah, just my my practice flat track bike. It lives inside here with me.
Sammy, so a 450 single cylinder is no joke, right? I remember my buddy bought a RMZ 450. He's like, dude, you gotta come ride this bike some. I was like, all right, I'll come and ride it. remember throwing my leg around this thing. I come back, I said, holy shit, dude, this thing is insane. Growing up, riding two strokes, or wasn't for the first four stroke I ever ridden, minus the CRF 100. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the big bikes. Was the 426 Yamaha. And I remember I couldn't kick that thing over for a minute. Like, I literally had to put all my body weight in that thing just to kick it. I was like, holy shit, you making me look goofy out here, right? But the advancements that they've reached on those bikes right now is just ridiculous. The whole shot and all that, traction control. It's like you don't need traction control on the dirt, but whatever. Flat track, you guys don't run traction control, do you?
Well, I mean, if it comes on the modern bikes, right, they're able to use it. So on the 450s, like when it comes on the bikes, they're able to use it. And there actually has been, like when they were trying to get the production bikes to keep up with the purpose-built bikes, they allowed traction control. So like Estenson's been running traction control on their 750 Yamaha Twins for the last few years. This year, they eliminated allowing them to use the wheel speed sensors. So we're not allowed to use wheel speed sensors anymore. But the last few years, there's been mainly just one team been doing it, because like as far as like doing it is one thing, but then doing it and actually like having the kind of like the team there, the data guys, I guess, to actually make it like useful under, I think is a little more of like a challenge probably.
A hurdle, yeah. I could see that too. And then you said we talked earlier. You're getting ready for a local flat track race coming up.
Yeah. So this weekend is the Southeast Flat Track season opener here. It's in Nices, South Carolina, and I'm actually partnered with the Southeast Flat Track, the local series here, to promote it. So I'm basically promoting it, which also I've been promoting it through my Slammer Time promotions company, and brought in some partners. Like I brought in Dunlop and Castrol, so to give in some prizes to the amateurs. So a few of the amateurs are winning new Dunlop tires. A couple of them winning cases of Castrol oil, and that brought in some money for the pros. So we got a bunch of fast pros coming, and I'm going to race it too. I'm going to ride my buddy's Rotax, which is kind of like an old school flat track bike. It's a 680cc single cylinder air cooled Rotax motor, and that thing rips. And it's in a flat track frame, so it works really well on that track. That track's quite flat and slippery. So promoting the race, hopefully going to win the race, and but there'll be some of the like real senders there, so it won't be easy. But yeah, it's cool. It's kind of doing my part to get involved and try and see what I can do to kind of help boost the like local flat track racing series here a little bit. Try and help boost it a little bit, help where I can, and also I just want to promote at least one race a year to kind of like do that, and hopefully find something that's cool and fun. Like we'll be down there Friday night. I'll be doing like a practice day on Friday night. I'll do a flat track school Friday. I'm actually doing a flat track school for only $100, which is super like cheaper than I normally do it. So just so guys can come out, do a school. It's just a 2-hour school, and then we have the open practice, and then I'm gonna go to Costco and buy a ton of beers, and just like we're gonna hang out, camp at the track, and have a good time. And so, yeah, I want to try and do that where I can host an event a year and hopefully turn it into a bit of a party that I can like host every year and have fun, promote some of my personal partners through it, and just kind of help the local flat track community. So that's a goal with it.
Man, I love it. So are you going to invite Tom and Tim Neve over and McGinnis too?
Dude, funny enough, the Neve boys, Tim was actually like asking me about coming, and I kind of was like it's just a local flat track race, Tim. I'm like, I don't know about you coming all the way for this. Like, but yeah, we'll see how it goes this year, and hopefully can make it into something big where I can, it makes sense to invite some guys out for it. Yeah.
I would love to come down and check it out, hang out, and get the whole flat track experience for sure.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I will 100%, man. So, and then, you started your own podcast, bro, Sidetracked with Sammy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I did that using the same platform you use, and started that podcast just to have a platform to talk about the things I'm up to. And I've done a couple podcasts bringing some people on, and talked about kind of like the state of the sport. I did one like a review podcast where it was like right after the race, the American Flat Track race ended, and I wasn't there, and it was maybe like a day race, so I like reviewed the race right afterwards. That went pretty well. So more or less, like I got it set up where I can do it, and I've only done a couple because it's like I'm also quite busy with I've been doing more YouTube. So now I'm from all my like races I do a YouTube from the event. Like I got my Rossi one about to go out hopefully this week. So just I got the platform set up, done a couple podcasts. We'll probably do some more. So I just kind of balancing it, but I enjoyed doing them, and we'll kind of see where that goes. And just putting out all the content.
That's right, putting it out. And Sammy, in road racing, and I'm sure it's like that in flat track, man, social media has become this huge deal, right? It's they want to know, sponsors want to know how many followers do you got, and yada yada yada. So it's and I assume it's the same in flat tracking too.
Well, yeah, I've used it to really help extend my career, honestly. So I quit racing full time at the end of 2021. And went to focus on like just select events with more of a focus on creating content to promote my partners and just like having fun with it. So with like when you're going for the championship, pretty focused on like going for the championship. And like I had a lot of sponsors always throughout my career, and I felt like it was hard for me to really give back as much as I wanted to all my partners. So now it's more or less like I do more select events, and then more focus on like creating the content to promote these people that have helped me so much over my career, and then also just to build my brand and see where that puts me. Like if I keep building my brand up more, it's been opening up more opportunities for me to do more things and get paid to have fun riding dirt bikes and being involved in the motorsports industry, versus just like stepping away when I kind of like semi-retired, like I said, in 2022. But I'm like doing still quite a bit of it.
I love it, man. I love it. And so Von Zipper 24 says, "Give me an old Rotax any day." Yeah,
It's a classic bike, man. Yep.
It is. I in that video I was telling you that I watched. You guys were talking about the Rotax. I really don't know a whole lot about flat track. I got to be honest. Cole King, my buddy, Cole, he's the one that got me into it when I reached out to him. He's like, yeah, flat track, blah, blah. Of course, I studied it, watched a lot of videos. It's absolutely amazing. I want to try it because it looks like so much. It's like anything. You watch it, you're like, man, I could do the same thing Messi's doing. Nah, bro, not even close, right? You got to practice it and get into it, but it looks like a whole lot of fun. Need Metal says younger guys can ride the mixers. I like the Rotax. My balls shrink on the mixers. I can't twist the throttle mid corner.
Yeah, well, that's like he's kind of referring to like when I grew up racing Rotaxes. When I was 14 years old, I was on a 600cc Rotax, which is a purpose-built flat track bike, flat track frame made for turning left. And then we start riding these motocross bikes converted to flat track, and they just don't work the same. Like you get on the gas mid corner, and they just get sideways and hit the lock stops, and the traditional flat track bikes just like turn left so well and just work on the ovals so well, which a lot of the younger kids don't get to experience that, and they only know how to ride like the moto bikes converted to flat tracks. So this weekend I'm going to go show those kids what's up, and I'm going to go ride that old ass bike and kick all their asses. Take all the money that I put up for the race and just take it right back.
Yeah, that's right. Take it right back. This is mine. Thank you. Beers on me tonight, fellas. So I got a good buddy of mine, Eli Colby. He rode races. He says, ain't no way Simcoe got slamming Sammy on the podcast. I actually did. That's what I said. Ain't no way. And there he is, the absolute legend. Von Zipper says, oops, that's the wrong one. I got a new comment. It says videos are epic, man. Yes, Sam's videos are absolutely amazing. Need Metal says Sammy's videos are enjoyable to watch, represents the sports well. And then Von Zipper says so easy to control wheel spin. Yeah, it's Eli actually went down to Florida with a buddy of mine. And yeah, that's what he's been doing, is a lot of flat tracking here lately.
Nice.
So yeah, man, absolutely. Well, Sammy, man, listen, we're 45 minutes into this podcast. I want to transition into, there's still so much more that I really want to ask you and talk about, but I know you're busy. I'm busy. Like I got to go to bed here in a little while and all that. So let's definitely sit down and do a part 2, 100%. Actually, Brian Lugwood says, come up to the Dakotas and rip up the ditches on the Rotax Ski-Doo snowmobile. Flat snow on my man, number 701.
Nice. They use the Rotax has made motors for all sorts of different stuff. Yep.
Absolutely, they did. Absolutely. So yeah. So I want to get into, like I said, man, my favorite part of the podcast. Man, my first question is, what's for dinner tonight, Sammy?
Well, I actually did an early dinner before the podcast, and I just had some leftovers. Had like a soup. I'm actually getting over a cold, so we've been souping it up a lot. It's all very soupy around here. But yeah, I did it's like a Tex-Mex style soup, and yeah, it was good.
So do you
Stuff
cook
cheese in there, and it was really good.
some jalapenos?
No, it wasn't that Mex.
So do you cook yourself or?
I do cook quite a bit. Yeah. I've been on a good food journey over the years. Like I try and eat very clean. I feel like that's been a big advantage to my racing is eating clean and stuff like that. And that's what that means has shifted over the years. But yeah, it's been I feel like it's really crucial to being an athlete.
It is. So I say this all the time, but I weigh 270 pounds. I was on a 40 waist. I'm in a 34 waist now. I weigh 210, right? A lot
Nice.
of that was changing my diet, cooking myself, eating healthy. But what really made the biggest difference for me was besides food portion, right? Like I eat as much as my fist because that's as big as your stomach. But Sammy, when I eat, is listening to what my body's telling me as I eat food, right? So if I'm eating something and my nose gets stopped up, then I know there's something in there that my body's not jive with. Now I got to figure out what that is and eliminate that, right? It's a journey. It's a lot of
Yeah.
trial and error, kind of eating the same thing over and over to just eliminate everything. And that's what really helped me. Of course, exercise. I'm a big ice bath person, right? I like to do a lot of cold plunges. Do you cook cold plunge?
Yeah, I like cold treatments for sure. Yeah, I do. Like right now, I'm just doing like cold showers and stuff here and there. But yeah, whenever I'm at a cold body of water, I'm usually jumping in it, and then I like to go from there to the hot tub.
Right. Man, I used to get into the cold showers, but it's fine if you just stand in one position, but as soon as you move like this, it starts all over again. You're like, shit, right? I prefer the plunge, and when it snows and it's real cold, I go out there in my swim trunks and people come by the neighborhood. I'm out there making snow angels, with my swim trunks, and they'll stop and be like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, I'm having fun. You want to come play in the snow? They're like, you're an effing idiot. You're going to get sick. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Yeah. Even my wife gives me a hard time. She's like, don't go outside. Yeah, whatever. I like the cold, right? A cold's really good for you. It's good
Yeah.
therapy. It's good for your muscles, fatigue, all that good stuff. And if you do it for a while, Sammy, I don't know if you got to the point that your body actually craves it. It's like, man, I ain't had an ice bath too. I need to get in cold water.
I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah.
I do too. I have there's a creek like 7 houses down. It's obviously constant flow and it's perfect. It's got like this natural like kind of seat. You sit in, it's like right here up to your neck. And yeah, I take the little temperature thing down there. I'm like, okay, it's 34 degrees. This one's gonna be a little chilly, right? I try to do 2 minutes, but when it's super cold, it's harder to do that, even though you get your breath.
It's cold outside plus cold in there. That's
it's brutal.
Sometimes we just like to suffer a little bit, Sometimes we're just like, let's just make life hard and just suffer a little bit just because we're psychos.
Exactly. That's what my wife says. She's like, you're like a psycho killer, right? I'm like, whatever. Just you should try it, babe. She's like, absolutely not.
Do it.
Nope, not gonna happen, right? I try, but yeah, not gonna happen. Do you have any pets, bro?
Nah, man. I've been traveling too much for that right now, So, but yeah, I would like to someday, but not right now.
I always got my pit bull in here. Her name is Charlie. She's like 13 years old, and we just got a little puppy. She's a freaking little hellion. She's out there because when she's in here. So earlier when I was setting up for the podcast, I had the door open. She would come in here and grab her on the blanket and start dragging her down the hallway. And she's like 16 weeks old, this puppy. She's freaking strong. Yeah, so I was laughing. It was cool. So let me ask you this, man. Are you a coffee drinker?
Oh yeah, man. I'm a big into the coffees. I got me a Breville Barista Pro or whatever, like a badass espresso machine. I'm busting out espressos every day. Oat milk cappuccino has been kind of my go-to. I try not to do more than 4 a day of my double shots, and I'm not like, yeah. I think I only had 2 today, but yeah, so we're doing good.
Dude, look, there's nothing like espresso, right? You think you're like this little shot, and you take 3 or 4, then next thing you know, you're like, and then you crash. You're like, okay, I'm ready to take a nap now, right? It's high and then it's super low, but it's so good. I like mine just straight up black. So I like coffee a lot too. So I'll drink it black first, right? Because that tells you if the coffee's any good. My wife, on the other hand, she likes this donut shop, and it's like a half a gallon of creamer, and it's just way too sweet.
Yeah.
And I try to stay away from as much natural sugar. I mean, processed sugar. The
All
natural sugar is okay, but the process is yeah, man, absolutely. So, Sammy, tell us something we don't know about you at all.
I don't know, man. I can juggle and ride a unicycle, but not at the same time.
I can juggle too, and I can ride a unicycle, but yeah, I'm just not at the same time. Actually, it's funny you say that. That's how I got comfortable riding wheelies, was learning how to ride a unicycle, because it's that whole balance. It was never, the backwards coming up that freaked me out. It was more of that whole, I guess, balance on it. So my buddy's dad was like, "Yep."
You can see it. I got a unicycle back there. It's kind of hard to see, but there's one back there too.
I love it. It's my buddy's uncle was like, dude, you need to learn how to ride a unicycle. You'll nail them wheelies down. I was like, yeah, okay. And then, dude, unicycles not no joke to learn how to ride. It takes a lot of core stomach and the whole.
Oh yeah,
and you can't be afraid to eat shit, because you're definitely gonna eat shit,
yeah,
right?
learning for sure, right?
100%. I don't know if I'd rather go forward than backwards, because you never know what you're gonna hit backwards. You always want to, yeah. Anyway, what's your worst habit, Sammy?
Chocolate.
Right. And listen, so UK, I like chocolates. One of my go-to things is gummies, right? You give me gummies, bro. I'm like a little kid. I'm like, can I have one more of those, please? So have you tried the UK gummies?
What kind of gummies are we talking about?
Not those gummies, right? Those are good too, but I'm talking about man, I have to send you the brand. My buddy hit me up when I was out there. He's like, bro, you got to buy some gummies. I was like, dude, I can get gummies in America. He's like, no, you don't understand. You got to get this brands of gummies. And he was absolutely right. They were like the best things I've ever ate in my life. So I'll text it to you. Yeah, they're freaking amazing. And their chocolate's different too, right? Was saying you going over there to Cadwell Park. I've been at Cadwell Park. What was the best meal you ate over there?
Dude, it's not that good in the UK. No, I don't know. I don't think the UK is known for the food, but we got dinner after the race with the Neve family, which was cool. We got Indian food, and that was good. But I don't know. I mean, I usually get fish and chips at one point when I'm in the UK, right?
Got to. That's the go-to. That.
What sticks out to you? Something from over there?
Dude, the proper fish and chips, right, as they call it, and the mushy peas was really good. Yeah, but did you try the black pudding?
Yeah, I don't recall if I ever actually had the black pudding or not. I can't remember. I remember that being a thing, but
it's a thing.
Yeah.
Me, it's a no bueno. My buddy was like, dude, you gotta try black.
Was like got like cow's blood in it, or what was it?
It's like pig's blood, yeah, cow's blood, chicken blood. I don't know. It's some type of blood and like oats. And Daniel was like, bro, you gotta try it. I'm sitting down right out of Heathrow. We're in London, full English breakfast, the potatoes and all that good stuff. And black pudding, I'm thinking of, yeah, black pudding. Black pudding's good. It's sweet. Let's go. They bring me this disc, and I'm like, what the hell is this? He's like, dude, it's black pudding, mate. You got to try it. And I'm like, okay. So anything, I take this huge bite. I'm 4 chews into this thing. And I was like, bleh, this is the most nasty, bro. You try it, though. Next time you go, you got to try it. Just tell me what you think when you do it. And then after that, Sammy, he says, well, the white pudding's even better. I was like, nah, bro, you done ruined it for me on that one. Not going to get me twice. So Rick says, which AFT races are you racing this year, Sammy?
What's up, Rick? Man, I'm going to do Daytona and Sturgis. That's what I'm looking at right now.
Nice. Yeah. And then Von Zipper 24 says, best bike you ever rode? That's such a broad question because like you said, the track conditions, the tires.
Yeah, and like the Harley XR is just such an iconic bike, but it's also a fucking Harley. So Not saying that in a bad way, but like, as far as like the maintenance on those things and different things on like that purpose built race bike. But I mean, that's where my heart is for sure. The XR 750. I had, dude, honestly, a ton of fun riding the Triumph Triple, what is that, 765 or 675?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that thing was so fun on the road race track. Yeah, so I don't know. Those are some of my favorites.
Yeah, that's actually my friend Cole King, absolute legend. That's what he races in the Super Hooligans in Moto America.
Yep.
Yep. Which is that bike. So I listen to a lot of audiobooks. Sammy, is that something you do too, or?
I have before, not lately. I haven't been on the audiobooks lately, but yeah, I have before for sure, especially traveling and stuff like that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And then obviously I love podcasts. You love podcasts. Is there any like go-to podcasts you can recommend for people?
I mean, in the flat track world, there's the Tank Slapping podcast, which is pretty good. And then lately I started tuning into like catching some episodes of Rogan. Like everyone knows Rogan, but I never listened to him that much before. I've been just catching a few lately. Like he had Zuckerberg on. That was kind of interesting. And sometimes I listen to like real estate podcasts, like Bigger Pockets. They have a lot of different podcasts because I'm into real estate. I'm a realtor now and invest as well myself. So yeah, that's kind of where I bounce between like trying to learn about real estate, trying to just like tune into my racing pods. And I've even listened to Pipe Dreams pod as well with Rispoli and
Alexander.
Yeah. Yep. So those are kind of the ones I've tuned into.
Yeah, absolutely. So Diary of a CEO is a good one too. I think you would like that one for sure.
You want to know Yoda's last name?
What?
Yoda.
Get out of here, you goofy man. That was hilarious. Yeah, so Diary of a CEO is good, man. He interviews like a lot of motivational, but there's a lot of he's kind of like Rogan, right? Just a little bit different. So yeah, that one's a good one. Rick also says, oh man, no silver dollar podium slam in Chicago.
Chico, I know, man. We had such a sick run out in California last year doing Chico and Ventura the last couple of years, but with not being able to race the Dodge Bros XR 750 anymore, it doesn't really make sense for me to hit those unfortunately, which I know I like. I love my West Coast fans, and them California events are sick. But I'm a West Coast guy at heart. But yeah, I don't think it's in the cards this year to make it out for those.
Yeah, I hear you. So your favorite comedian, bro?
Dude, I don't know. Like, honestly, I'm not a huge buff on that stuff. I like a good laugh, but yeah, I don't know. What's yours?
Oh man, dude, here lately I've been listening to a lot of Matt Rife. He's a new up and coming. I mean, he's pretty funny. Of course, the legendary Dave Chappelle and Cat Williams. But if I'm gonna go old school, one of my favorite all time comedians is George Carlin, bro. Like, dude, he's the man right there. Yeah, that's absolutely, man. Is there have you watched any good movies lately?
I feel like it's been a while since I've really tuned into a movie. Dude, honestly, my life's been kind of busy lately, just between all the, like, I feel like I just got back from Europe, and then it was like, I had this trip or that trip or this trip. And I've been like on the grind lately between trying to manage my like realtor business and my racing business. I haven't even been watching a lot of TV lately. I did just like start to chill and watch a little bit of TV lately. I was watching like MotoGP had some episodes out like on the MotoGP app. Like it's kind of similar to like the Drive to Survive for the Netflix Formula One show. So I was watching a few episodes of that, and I started I got back on Netflix and I started the one with that football player that likes to trip out and take mushrooms.
Brain fart, because I've been watching it too. God bless it.
Yeah, the guy that likes to trip out on shrooms and play football. We all know he's a fucking legend,
dude. He is. He really is, right?
Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, Aaron Rodgers. That's it.
So I watched the first episode of that. I'm gonna catch some more of it. But
so what other sports are you into? Football, basketball, baseball? What I mean by football is the real football, the soccer, right? To me, that's what I like. But do you watch like the NFL or anything?
A little bit, not as much as I used to. Like I'm a Seattle Seahawks guy, so back when the Seahawks were killing it, I was watching it a bit more back then. Now that we're in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, I'll watch a little bit of that pro football, like the playoffs and Super Bowl and stuff like that. So if anything, as far as like stick and ball sports, it's NFL for me. But I mean, I follow like motorcycle racing from like probably similar to you. We're watching Supercross, we're watching MotoGP. Now that I do Rossi's every year, I'm like meeting more of the World Superbike guys, so I try and tune into like a bit of that. So yeah, between like all the forms of motorcycle racing and that's about it.
I love it, man. I watch all that. I mean, everything you name it. My wife's like, how many apps do you pay for subscriptions a year? I'm like, sit down, honey. Let me tell you this. Are you ready for this? She's like, what? I'm like, I can't help it. I'm a nerd, right? What was saying that, Sammy? The Isle of Man has an app called TT Plus. Have you heard of it?
Okay. Not maybe, I don't know.
Okay, well, so it's the Isle of Man, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it's $25 for the whole year, and they have some. Yeah, it's cheap. They have documentaries. One's called Between the Hedges. You like Drive to Survive and the MotoGP one. You're gonna absolutely love Between the Hedges. It's absolutely phenomenal. So that's a recommendation for sure. As far as audiobooks, real quick, if you want to listen to a really good motorcycle racer audiobook, I highly recommend John Hopkins' Leathered. It's a great.
Yeah. I read the book, on that one. I actually
Yeah.
read the damn paper. Old school.
I feel you. My problem is I read books, Sammy, but it's my shop manuals for my motorcycles, right? Those are the books I physically read. Everything else is audiobook. I'm like you, I'm just so busy. I don't have time to sit down and sit there and get deep into a book. I'd rather just throw my earbuds in and while I'm at work or driving or whatever it is, and just do it that way. So growing up, obviously I was a huge fan of some sci-fi shows and movies, right? So one question I ask all my guests is, are you Star Wars or Star Trek?
Not Star Trek, that's for sure.
Right? I don't think nobody is, to be honest with you. So if what Star Wars character would you be? Yeah, I don't even think
can't get pussy.
Right, there you go. Yeah, it's about the best I can do on that. That's awesome. What Star Wars character would you be?
Boba Fett. Nah. Be pretty sick to fly. What is the one that Harrison Ford flies? He flies
the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah. It'd be a pretty good one to pilot. Yeah. So what is he? I can't even think of his name. Harrison Ford.
Han Solo.
Han Solo. Yeah. Or I could be a Jedi Skywalker.
I love it when he laughs about it. He's like, "Yeah, I could definitely do that." There's many times I want to force choke somebody out, right? But my wife knows because I'll get mad and I'll sit back and I'll go. She's like, "You can't choke me that way," and I'm like,
"Nerd, big old nerd." Dude, I was for the Star Wars nerds out there. When I was at Rossi's a couple weekends ago in the his like VR46 store, they had like some motocross helmets that were painted all Star Wars. Like I think they did a promo for Star Wars the movie, and they had some of their helmets with like the Star Wars paint jobs on them in there. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. So I ask road racers this, but you're a flat track racer, right? So I'm gonna ask you this question too. If Sammy, you had your own private track day, flat track day, okay, and you can invite any 3 people, dead or alive, who's the 3 people you would invite to your track day?
Oof, dead or alive, bro. That's a tough one, man. I mean, I'd love to see the legend that is Ricky Graham. See where he could throw it down like no other. And I'm just going to say this quickly and not go into it because I could pick anyone, but just off the top of my head, I'm going to say RG3, Nicky Hayden, and Valentino Rossi. Like you could pick so many, but legends right there. So yeah,
absolutely, they're all freaking legends. You don't play video games, do you? Like PlayStation or Xbox?
Not really, no.
Yeah, man. I wish I had more time to do it. My
I
son,
know, right?
he's big into it. Every once in a while, I like to sit down and play it, but I'm such a go guy. If I got Fridays off, my wife and my son go to work and in school, and I'm like, yes, I can sit down and play the PlayStation for 4 hours. I'm literally an hour into it, and I'm like, I'm freaking bored. Like I got to go do something else, right?
You're productive with your life, man.
Right? Go and just fire up the little pit bike and ride wheelies around the neighborhood. I mean, that's when I have the most fun anyway. Well, listen, dude, Sammy, this has been a lot of fun. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast. We'll definitely sit down and do a part two. Just stay on with me after I end this for a second.
Cool.
Yeah. So listen, Sammy, I'm gonna let you end the podcast, give you all your shout outs, but first I'm gonna give mine real quick. I just like to say, first and foremost, thanks to everybody that watches and listens to my podcast. It's nothing but love to every single one of you guys and girls. Without you, I would not be able to do this. Without Sammy coming on the podcast and all my other friends coming on the podcast, I wouldn't be able to do this, right? It's hard to do a podcast and talk to yourself, right? But big shout out to Next Level Financial, bisontrack.com for all your leather needs, Chef Eats, TST Industries, the Clothing Kings.co.uk, where you can go there and get all your Pendergast merch, Superbike Supply, SFL Mini GP, RD Racing, and Jake March out there in BSB, Vet2 Track, Flying Eyes Optics, 64 Degree Racing, Ghetto Customs, Carnes Performance in Pennsylvania, KYT Helmets America, K-Tech Suspension. Big shout out to my man Birch, Dakari, and Kendall. RTR, Ready to Race in North Carolina. My buddy Ryan owns a shop out there. Coleman Power Sports here in Virginia. McLeo Escapes Track and Tour. Road Racing World. I need everybody to go to Road Racing World. Go to the go sign up to the funds. Please donate to the Road Racing World Fund for our air fences. It's imperative that we have them on the tracks. Without the air fences, and big shout out to the corner marshals and the ambulance guys and girls. Guess what? Sammy ain't going racing. There's going to be no track day. So it's very important you guys go, even if it's $1 or $5, whatever you can afford. Please go donate. STG Dripping Wet, Venom Undersuits, V121pro.com. My buddy Mike Edwards out there has a coaching program in BSB and in the whole UK area. He's an absolute 6-time BSB champion. He's an absolute legend. BTR, Build Train Race World Infield and Moto America, one of the best programs they have going on. So big shout out to them. And last but not least is brain fart. I can't believe Gus Rodeo Graphics.
All right, off Gus Rodeo. That's cool.
Yeah. Gus. Yeah, I've had him on my podcast. I've had his dad, Kev Dog.
Nice.
Yeah, I hang out with them a lot, man. They're absolutely legends of the sport. But he does his own graphics, as Sammy already knows. So if anybody needs, Sammy, all these people on here, they're all my personal friends within the industry, and I give them all shout outs all the time because I want to see them progress and thrive. And if they're doing good, then the sport's doing good too as well. So with saying that, before I let you give all your shout outs, do you have a club? Because all our UK friends, they have Club 40, Tom Neve or whatever it is, and people donate and you get posters and all that. Is that something you do too?
No, I don't have a club, but just got got a strong Facebook following, the YouTube and the the OnlyFans. That's more like my club is my OnlyFans. If I get people on there, because it's one of my new sponsors, then that's where you get the really kind of behind the scenes like slammy content. I've been putting more of a focus on that lately. So, and that really helps me. If you guys made it this far in this podcast, you a true fan. So you probably on that OnlyFans, because that's what it's kind of a little bit of a process getting on OnlyFans, but it's good. It keeps the kids off of it. But with them backing some motorcycle racers, it's a cool platform for us to use. And I've been finding the way with it where I've been putting some really good stuff on there. Like I have my actual racing plans on there as they're coming together, showing different things, like the really behind the scenes look at the life and how the programs come together and stuff. So anyways, it's that's the club. The Only Slams on OnlyFans.
Only Slam. So I meant to ask you that. How did this whole OnlyFans? It's been a big man. I hear both sides of the story. I think any outside new sponsorship coming into the sport is good, right? Because it means we're growing. and it gets outside other sponsorships interested in the sport. They're like, shit, OnlyFans is sponsoring Sammy and, you know, Josh Heron and road racing and all this. So how did all, you know, it's we all know how it started as, but that don't mean that's what it needs to be, right? So they're in this transition. OnlyFans is, you know, reaching out to athletes too as well. So what brought that whole idea up, and what was the process like, you know, reaching out to them and getting them on board?
Man, I mean, just seeing they was getting involved in motorsports, right? So reached out and was able to get in touch and pitch my deal, and yeah, it just made sense. I think with being more focused on content and stuff, it made sense for what I'm doing, and so yeah, was stoked to have him come on. It's a pretty big partner for me, and yeah, it's been cool. It's actually been growing lately, like where I'm actually like really providing some value and really connecting with the fans and spending time talking with the fans that spend the time to get on there, which, like I said, that really helps support my deal and make it work so I can go back and renew and re-up my deal with them. So it helps me kind of extend my career. So I appreciate all the people that get on there and engage on there. And yeah, man, it's all about that hustle. That's how it happened, man. I'm always hustling.
That's it. You got to. Every day I'm hustling. Yeah, everybody knows that song, right? And
right.
It's true. It's man, it's good. And one more thing, if you guys haven't went to Pin the Gas and hit that like and subscribe, what are you guys sleeping for, right? Dude, and Sammy too, right? Everybody go to Sidetracked with Sammy Halbert and do the same thing. Ding, 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 ding. Let's make it happen. So Sammy, tell everybody where they can find you, show you all the love, support, and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So we actually end up streaming this on my YouTube as well, which I'm doing a bit more YouTubes, and pretty much all my social media is Sammy Halbert straight across the board, whether it's the Instagram, it's the Twitter, it's the Facebook, it's the OnlyFans, it's the YouTube, it's all at Sammy Halbert. And that's where we're doing it. And yeah, the support's been unreal this year, last year, like the support's been really good, and it keeps me going on that. So I appreciate y'all.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor on this mega proper Willie Wednesday to have the legend slamming Sammy Halbert on the podcast. Thank you so much, Sammy. It's been an absolute honor. Looking forward to part 2. And yeah, just hang on with me for a minute. And yeah, we'll see you guys later. All right, let me end this. And yeah, just give me 1 second. I have an outro that a friend of mine made for me that I'm going to play real.
Calling all two-wheel enthusiasts, get ready to rev up your earbuds with Pin the Gas Podcast, the ultimate motorcycle racing podcast, hosted by Chris Simcoe, one of our very own excellent leaders here in Roanoke, Virginia. With expert analysis, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive writer interviews, Pin the Gas Podcast delivers the adrenaline rush of the racetrack straight to your ears. Whether you're a diehard fan or a curious newcomer, you'll gain insights that will transform how you watch and understand motorcycle racing. On your favorite podcast app, join Simcoe as he takes you on a high-speed journey through the world of motorcycle racing. Pin the Gas Podcast.